Ender chests are super critical in Minecraft, from the first one you put in a world to the overflowing one you're using 3,000 days later. Today I'll show you the contents of every shulker in my brand new custom ender chest loadout. I'll also go through several variation ideas because your idea of perfect will almost certainly be different than mine. I'd love to know what you do differently and what you think I forgot. Shout out to Lynxy, Durpole, and Hydronova whose ideas helped inspire mine. I also want to give you options depending on the type of player you are. I'll explain my choices and some alternates for everyone, but whether you use my entire layout is up to you, but the ideas behind them may help you make better choices on your own. One other thing to note is that I'll be showing full stacks of everything that stacks. You definitely won't have to have 64 conduits in the early game or maybe ever, so just adjust according to where you are in the game, remembering that this is designed around my ideal endgame ender chest. For context, I play long-term hardcore worlds most of the time. I think what's in your inventory can also guide what you need in your ender chest a bit, so let's have a quick peek what's in mine. I carry as many ender chests as I can, knowing I leave them at farms and everywhere else. An extended fire res potion, a stack of crafting tables, a bed, and a single arrow because I use infinity. I also carry both a fortune and a silk touch pickaxe, and I keep both in my inventory because I use both of them frequently. My sword has sharpness 5. I know some of you will use smite, I just find the things that I worry the most about are not undead mobs. Even though I rarely pop them, I do keep a second totem just as a safeguard. If I've popped one, I'm probably in danger. My axe should probably have smite 5 on it, but otherwise just a basic axe and shovel with max enchants. I also carry a chest plate in my hotbar on an easily swappable slot, food, 2 stacks of rockets, my bow, which is my primary weapon, and a stack of blocks. I choose stone because it's versatile. I can make it into cobblestone, stone bricks, slabs, stairs, and it's insta-mineable in beacon range and useful for redstone components. As far as my armor, I just max it out. I do normally wear thorns and have a non-thorn set as a backup if I need to move mobs like shulkers. My boots will have blast prot 4, not protection 4, as I've talked about in a short that should be linked on screen now. Blast prot saves lives, just use it. I'll cover each shulker as we talk about it, but let's get into how the variations will work. Some of these shulkers I would say are required for nearly every player, like my rocket shulker or gears and tools. Some are not, like this lime one. These gray shulkers will represent alternate ideas. The natural ones represent empty shulkers that you should definitely fill your ender chest with. No matter what layout you use, if you have empty spots, put some empties in it. In the alternate ideas section, you could have a project box full of whatever your current plan materials are. This is an underwater decor box, an ancient city raiding box, a rocks box, which you could use as an alternate to our blocks box later on, or this big digs box for when you're hand digging a perimeter or something similar. And yes, you want way more picks than shovels for that. And these are just a few of the ideas for things you can substitute in when a box of mine doesn't work for your actual needs. Alright, let's get into the actual ender chest now. My first shulker is a gearbox. You'll see that I've named the shulkers on an anvil to show that in the upper left. This contains a book and quill so you can keep track of coordinates, to-do lists, build ideas, or anything else that you want to write down. You can do this in a text document, but it's way more immersive to keep it in the game. I then carry 2 spare elytra. I used to carry 5, but it was overkill. I don't swap, I repair, and you'll see that later. Then I have 2 more spare totems. I'm gonna be honest, that gives me 4 totems. If I need more than 4 totems, I'd rather just lose the hardcore world. A gold helmet is in here for the nether. Sometimes you just want to be left alone. I do normally kill piglins, but I suggest maxing out the enchants on this. The respiration's a bit of an afterthought. You don't need it in the nether at all, although it's helpful if you do forget to replace the helmet when you come back to the overworld. On the fully enchanted turtle helmet though, you do want respiration and aqua affinity. I also keep 2 unique boots in here. One's a set of frostwalker netherite boots, again fully enchanted. Feather falling 4 is critical here, and I do have a fully enchanted pair of leather boots. You can walk across powder snow with these, and that's very useful sometimes, especially when collecting powder snow. Next up is a mace. I keep it in my chest because it's not a great everyday weapon, but sometimes it's fun to use. And then I keep 2 tridents and 2 hoes in the chest as well. For the tridents, one's obviously a channeling and loyalty trident, while the other is my Riptide trident. Riptide is very dangerous and hardcore, just be aware. For the 2 hoes, one's obviously fortune, while the other is silk touch. I also keep a spare silk touch netherite pick in my gearbox. Sometimes things happen. If you break a netherite pick, it can feel pretty awful. Next up are the tools not everyone knows you can even enchant, but unbreaking, mending, flint and steel, efficiency 5 unbreaking and mending on the shears, and an unbreaking and mending brush. Crossbow is nice to have, I guess, along with a stack of arrows. A maxed out fishing rod, of course, fits nicely here. And then you can see my full set of armor. This could be a variation. You could also have full blast prot here, full fire res, or just a full backup set of your main armor. If you're having trouble with, say, an ancient city and your boots break, the last thing you want to do is keep going without boots. Same in a bastion or blaze fights or anywhere else that armor breaks. And a stack of leads and name tags finishes up this first shulker here. My second shulker is an adventure box, and the first time we're going to see bundles, though not the last. I think bundles are often hated on, but as you'll see throughout this video, they're actually very useful for organizing your e-chest. With lodestones being much cheaper in the upcoming 121.5, it now makes sense to carry a full stack of them, plus compasses that you can use to set a location and always remember where it is. You can have up to 64 compasses in this first bundle, and as you use them, add them right back to it. Instead of taking 2 or 3 or 5 slots, they're only going to take 1 while they're in the bundle. And my second bundle has a clock, recovery compass for non-hardcore players, and some miscellaneous trial chamber keys. Because you can stack up to 31 of each of the key in here, this bundle won't really change as you adventure out. The third bundle has ominous bottles, bowls, and templates, or an extra slot, while the fourth has tripwire hooks, lightning rods, and fire charges. All of which are useful, but we rarely carry around because they take up 3 slots. The 2 niche fishing rods are in this part of tools as well, a carrot on a stick for pig riding and a warp fungus on a stick for strider riding. Again, niche tools, but we never use them because we don't carry them. Having them at least means you can have fun when you're out and you want to do that. After that is a spyglass for those who don't use a zoomify type of mod, and a stack of books, which always seems like a must-have. This toolbox or adventure box won't always be completely full for everyone, but I'd suggest an enchanted shield, diamond horse armor, and a wolf armor for when you just need that little bit of extra protection you're out in the wild. A goat horn here is for fun, and the 3 saddles will let you move all sorts of animals, as well as capture skeleton horses if you happen to see those as well. As an infinity user, it's important to keep a spare maxed out bow. It's my primary weapon, I can't be without it for long. A stack of buckets, 2 water buckets for infinite sources, 2 lava buckets, and a milk bucket are all very useful, and then I suggest at least 3 to 5 stacks of sponge, depending on how much space you've left in this shulker. Now we can move along a little bit more quickly. My third shulker is full of rockets. Done. The fourth is also full of rockets, but in parts. I'll keep a shulker's worth of rockets stored as paper and gunpowder, with another whole row available for XP bottles here. Bottles of XP are highly underrated, and since starting to use them, I've never looked back. It makes way more sense and keeps me way more productive on my world to use these. Plus, in a pinch with a tool, you'll also have bottles of XP to repair a pick, armor, shears, or whatever. I used to carry just 1 redstone box, but lately I've noticed it's nowhere near enough. I'm a farm builder, someone who uses and fixes a lot of redstone, and will always need enough storage to go with it. So in the first shulker, I'm putting all the main redstone stuff. When I say redstone to a random player, this is generally what they think I mean. Blocks, dust, torches, repeaters and comparators, pistons and sticky pistons, droppers, dispensers, and observers. Those are the main redstone things that I need, and it gives me at least a couple of stacks of each. Again, really technical Minecrafters will need more observers than this and probably more of the other stuff. Builders and adventurers will probably need a lot less. The second redstone shulker I'm now carrying is for redstone parts. I've never had enough space in the past for targets, note blocks, buttons, trapdoors, bulbs, lamps, and just a few TNT when I need it. I'm carrying different types of trapdoor and buttons because they do different things. Slime and honey are necessities for the average technical player, and this is about what I need day to day. And my third redstone box is something I never noticed I needed, but I always actually need. A bunch of shulkers, chests, hoppers, barrels, pots, crafters, spare e-chests, even spare bundles really make a huge difference. If you only want to carry 1 or 2 e-chests, this is another place to store the rest, so that you will always have a stack on you at all times like I do. And bundles are very useful for inventory management on small builds, adventures with unexpected finds, etc. This beautiful orange shulker, my favorite color, holds all my valuables. Whether that's diamonds and lapis and gold or a full stack of netherite ingots, it's what you don't want to lose. If you have a server currency, it could go here too. I also put my dragon egg, wither skulls, my main netherite template so I don't lose it, a bundle with a bunch of random templates that you've picked up around and haven't put in storage yet, my blue axolotl, or even some silk touch ores. That way if you need a bit of spare material on the go, you have it all at your fingertips. Lapis for enchanting, coal for smelting. Just having those will save you a trip home sometimes. Finally, for the first row, this brown shulker is my food shulker. Everyone asks why it's brown. I use pork chops as my primary food, and they're brown. In the second row, we start to get to the more variable parts of the ender chest. I like this potion box here because potions are not used as much as they should be for how good and often how fun they can be. I keep brewing stands, nether wart, bottles, and blaze powder so I can of course make any potion I want while I'm away from home. And then you can just add a selection of your favorite potions. For me, that includes Fire Res for nether things, Invis and Night Potion for raiding structures, Slow Falling and Regen to keep myself alive in sticky situations, and for me, extra bottles of XP because again, they're super valuable. 3 Night Vision may not seem like enough to do a whole lot, but remember, if I'm doing an ancient city, I'm probably swapping this box out for something before I head out. Next up is my transportation shulker. Here I carry the full set of rails, mostly powered and normal, but also scaffolding for vertical movement, some boats and chest boats for moving mobs around, and some iron for minecarts. Chest boats are sometimes useful separately from boats, but you could add as many of whichever kind you like. These next 2 brown shulkers go together, and you should fill them with your favorite type of materials, but for me they're woods and carpentry. Wood should be full of logs, and maybe you only use spruce, so fill it with spruce. I filled it with a big variety, but obviously you can tailor this to your own use. I've also put creaking hearts in here. Carpentry is then the box where I keep all the wood byproducts. Trapdoors, stairs, slabs, as well as sticks, signs, and doors are all very useful to have on hand for any given project. And copper trapdoors, because there's nowhere else they fit. Doors are great for underwater mining, signs for leaving notes you didn't expect to leave, etc. Sticks will make you extra torches, gates, and parts for a new bow. Next up is my blocks box. I'm filling this with smooth stone, stone, moss, dirt types, and gravel. Why smooth stone? It's a countable block. Quick, count me out 3 blocks of grass. Now count me out 3 blocks of smooth stone. You see my point. Stone is here for all the reasons I mentioned earlier. It's basically its own gradient of cobblestone, stone bricks, and stone. Moss is the best temporary block in the game. Dirt, coarse dirt, and gravel, along with a shovel or hoe for path and farmland, are nice path blocks. And once again, you may prefer more variety over lots of smooth stone here. That's where the rocks box comes in. This one has sand, a little bit of cobbled deep slate and mud, and more variety. You just need some solid building blocks, whichever ones you like, that's up to you. This green shulker is for, not surprisingly, our green stuff. Leaves, saplings, plant matter, and in the bundle, a variety of seed types, carrots, and potatoes. And whether you keep all the sapling types here or just your frequently used ones will help determine which plants can go in. For me, I'm keeping all the saplings, which means I won't have as much variety in terms of things like berries, glowberries, drip leaf, all the flower types. It may be useful to take a stack or something out and put a bundle with a few of each flower in, but that's up to you. Cyan, the most unique color in Minecraft, is where I keep all my color. Dyes and dyeables is what I call it. In the past, this was a dyes box for me, but I never had the things I wanted to dye, mainly wool, terracotta, and candles. I'm also filling a shulker with glass types, including plain glass and plain panes. Tinted, maybe some colors like white or black will work here for me as well. And bundles are amazing in this case for the different color panes. I'm keeping a quarter stack of each color in just 4 slots, not 16. This gives me enough panes to test things, blend gradients, or add little details without having to constantly go home. And if I need more than 16, I probably need a return trip anyways. A shulker I never used to carry, but will going forward, is this ice and snow shulker. I didn't realize just how much I need easy water sources, packed ice for water streams on farms, or even snow golems here and there. Powder snow is situationally useful, as are snowballs and snow layers, so why not? Okay, last 6 shulkers now, and the bright yellow one is lighting. In here I'd suggest you keep as many variations of lighting as you can, but if you want to primarily focus on what you use most, that makes sense too. You may only ever use torches and never frog lights or shroom lights. You may love or hate glow lichen, so of course customize this one to suit you. Next up is decor. Again, if you're a technical redstoner who doesn't yet have a starter house in your 5,000 day world, skip this one. Replace it with literally anything else. But if you do build, this is a fantastic box of decor to have. Paintings, item frames, bookshelves, armor stands, cobwebs, whatever you typically use to decorate with should be in here. For a builder, this box is the dream. Next up is my beacons in a box shulker. Obviously you're going to add beacons, but maybe also nether stars and definitely loose ingots to this, along with tons of solid beacon blocks. I use gold because it mines 20% faster than the other types, so moving beacons is way easier and I hate doing it way less. I never used to keep conduits on me, and maybe you'll only have 1 or 2 of these, not 64, but conduits are extremely useful, so carry as many as you have. This lime shulker that I mentioned getting rid of earlier is the villager management box. You of course will have emeralds to trade, but also weakness potions, golden apples, and trapdoors to make rolling villagers for trades very easy. This is a great box to swap out if you know you're going to an ancient city and you know you're not rolling villagers, but it's a useful one to keep on hand otherwise. The real key to this one is in the bundles, which once again are pretty useful. I can keep a quarter stack of any villager workstation in here with just 4 slots instead of 15. Composters are also useful for redstone, so I added a little extra. Bells are for finding loose pillagers or rounding up villagers, etc., but this one's definitely situational. What's not as situational is your mob drops. While your exact contents may vary, something should be in here. Ender pearls and bone blocks, or at least bone meal especially. The rest of what's in here is mostly what I'd call potion ingredients. We have our brewing stands on us in the potion box from earlier, so this just helps us create nearly any potion in the game. Honey bottles will also remove poison, honeycomb for waxing copper, glowing sacks for signs, and so on. Finally, my last shulker is nether and end materials, or what I call my dimensional depot. I carry obsidian for nether portals, soul sand for bubble elevators, and a variety of dimension materials for building, such as blackstone and endstone. Magma blocks are also great for underwater exploration, and again, you may not have 64 respawn anchors and probably won't. Yeah, there's a couple stacks of copper things. The overworld's a dimension too, I don't know. Now remember, this was aimed at a finished endgame setup. You won't have this on day 200 of your world. Consider the type of player you are. Builders will need more blocks and more decor than I have, but you could probably replace some of the redstone boxes and maybe villager management. Slimestone players are going to need a lot more slime. But do they really need most of the dimensional depot? No. Season to taste, as a recipe would say. What you use in your alternate boxes is purely dependent on your gameplay, and I'm not suggesting you do exactly what I'm doing. These are just a few ideas. Okay, let's take a TLDR last look. We have our gearbox, adventure box, rockets, more rockets and rocket parts, main redstone parts, storage tech, valuables, and food. On the next line we have potions, transportation, woods and carpentry, blocks box, leaves and saplings, dyes and dyeables, ice and snow, and glass. And finally, we have lighting, decor, beacon in a box, villager management, mob drops, dimensional depot, and 3 empty shulkers. That's how I organize my ender chest and some ideas for yours. Let me know your thoughts below, and please like the video. Goodbye.